Good morning, whether you're joining us live or as a video. Welcome to the Medium channel where we bring you the spirituality behind the message. So before we get into this, I just want to say that I live in the mountains. My Wi-Fi is not great. My upload speed's not great. So I apologize in advance for any visual or audio distortions this morning. But that said, welcome. And today I want to try to keep this to 20 minutes if possible or less. So we'll see how that goes. And chances are there won't be a lot of live people anyway. Most of you will probably see this as a video. But I see a couple of people have come on, so welcome. So we're going to talk a little bit about social conditioning and programming. And I know some of you are probably sick of hearing me say that, but because this is heal. Oh God, I had another name for this. It's been a long morning. It's self-healing month here on the Medium channel and on my other platforms. I wanted to talk about social conditioning, programming, and how that affects our health and how that actually diminishes our ability to be strong and healthy. And the way that programming works, I mean, let me actually start from the beginning. Firstly, as spirit, as soul, we're all spirits having a human experience. We all come from soul, we all come from consciousness or God or the quantum field. And because we're connected to that energy, we already know how to heal ourselves. We already know how to stay healthy and be healthy, how to regenerate tissue, how to heal from all kinds of things. But the programming starts very early on, as soon as we're born. And what happens is that we systematically become separated from who we are as spirit. And when we separate from that, that's when the trouble begins. We cut ourselves off, or we get cut off from our ultimate power source, which is spirit or God. And I had a cool thing happen years ago when I had a housemate, and she had a cat named Rosalina. And I told her that if you don't get Rosalina spayed, she's going to have kittens. Well, she didn't have the cat spayed, and the cat had kittens, 9 kittens to be exact. But they're only 8 nipples. So that's a whole other story. But what I love to watch the kids were like the size of my thumb, and I really love to watch them just kind of nestle and nurse, and they'd be happy as little clams. You can almost see them smiling until the mother cat got up to maybe use her litter or eat or whatever. And then slowly I would see the kids, the smiles go away. Then I start to see their little paws flailing. And then I realized, wait, that's what happens to us. When we feel connected with our divine mother, with source, we feel secure, we feel safe, we feel empowered. But as soon as that connection breaks, then we start to feel fear and anxiety. Those survival emotions start to kick in. And those survival emotions are very much responsible for a lot of the health problems that we have today. Survival emotions are fear, anger, rage, you name it. Things that we might call negative emotions are actually positive things, because if we're in a survival situation, this will help to give us the strength, the endurance, and the wherefore that we need to get out of a survival situation. We pump a lot of adrenaline, a lot of cortisol, a lot of different chemicals that can actually give us superhuman powers in the moment, like the story of the woman lifting the car up to save her child under the car. But we're not supposed to have that 24/7. Like, we're not supposed to wake up with survival emotions like anxiety and fear and worry and anger. And we're not supposed to have that. We're supposed to be able to be in our spirit, to be in our source, and to be able to expand into the quantum field or into spirit. So at a very early age, from people that are also programmed, like our parents, programmed to be separated from who they are as spirit, start to program us in the same vein. It's not conscious, it's just part of social conditioning. It's training us to survive, or I should say, to function in this society that we live in. And then we get separated from who we are as source, and we are intrinsically, because we're little babies, we're still connected to soul. We still are who we are as soul. But then our parents that we see as gods, basically, like we imprint. It's not like ducks following the mother duck so much, but we imprint onto our parents as part of our human survival. Sometimes we forget that we're animals. That's another part of social conditioning, that we're animals that have instincts. We have survival instincts. So we start to emotionally bond and imprint with our mom and our parents, and then they're giving us information and feedback that is basically telling us that we're not connected to source, that we're somehow separate from that. And then those things that we hear, that we see and experience over and over again start to become subconscious programs. And we hear the same things. When we're little, we see the same things. Like my parents fought a lot, so I had the program that relationships are supposed to be a struggle, for example. It took a good deal of shadow work to heal that. And to be quite honest, I feel like I'm still working through it. I don't feel like it's complete yet. So that's just basically an example of how that happens. And we get programmed into these limiting beliefs about our health. And rather than feeling the connection to source and spirit, which is our ultimate source of health, we start to look outside of ourselves for our own health and well-being. Doctors, medicines, drugs that have side effects, that don't only work with symptomatic relief, doesn't work with the cure. And that's a very disempowering thing. Now, nothing wrong with doctors. I mean, I'd actually be dead if it wasn't for Western medicine. So I'd be a big old hypocrite if I started to diss on Western medicine. However, we have to understand that there's a disempowering side to that. And our ultimate source of healing lies from within, and it lies within our connection to spirit or source or the quantum field. So we get programmed through the power of repetition, same messages, same experiences. And also part of that's the shadow aspects. Like I was apparently a difficult child, or if you listen to my mom, that would say, if you were my first, there'd never be a second. And to make a long story short, I didn't feel like I was getting the love and nurturing and attention that I desired, except when I got sick. Then all of a sudden, my mom and my parents were doting over me 24/7. So what happened? Every year, twice or three times a year, I would contract pneumonia or something pretty serious, or asthma. So these are other ways that we get programmed into poor health. But understand, if you're vibrating at the frequency of soul and spirit, your health is guaranteed. Now, that doesn't mean you'll never get sick. Viruses, I say a lot, they're opportunistic. Bacteria is opportunistic. Sometimes we get ill. It's a cleansing process. And when we're children, we're supposed to get cold. We're supposed to have these pathogens. That's how the immune system sets. And when we're linked to soul and spirit, then our immune systems function 100%. And and I look at what's going on in the world today, and I'm not going to make any judgments or any assessments or any conspiracies or anything like that. But I question things. For one thing, it is we're very quick to be vaccinated or whatever, and all medications carry some risk. But I often wonder, why do we not research like ancient, or I shouldn't say ancient, but old societies? Like groups of people survived the bubonic plague, they survived smallpox, they survived terrible scourges on this world. How did they do it? Like, I would want to know how they did that when other groups of people perished. And why are there pockets of people around the world that live well into their hundreds. I've heard 120s, 130s, maybe longer, relatively disease free. Like, I would want to know why that is, but this is part of the programming. And again, we're not going conspiracy on you or anything like that. But this is part of the programming. It's like, instead of understanding like our own energy and connecting with our own power source, we instinctively go to a medicine or go to a drug. And that actually further compromises our body's ability to fight infection, actually. So that's basically, what I wanted to talk about in terms of how social conditioning and program affects our health. Now, a lot of I read and listen to a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, as well as Wim Hof's work. And I was just seeing, I was just watching a lecture of Dr. JD's last night. And what he said is that every second we go in and out of the quantum field 7 to 8 times. I think that's what he said. Or did he say 78 times? The point being is that we're always connected with soul. It's not like when I say cut off from it, we're not really cut off. It's just that our consciousness, our conscious minds are cut off. And the interesting thing is that when they started to split the atom and started to observe electrons, and started to see that in the subatomic world behaves very, very differently than the Newtonian world. And that was basically the birth of quantum physics. And one of the interesting things that was observed, and if anybody's watching, they know more about quantum physics than I do, feel free to correct any points if I'm inaccurate. I feel like I've done my research, but if you know more, let me know. But from what I understand, they were able to observe electrons and observe that they could actually exist as both wave and particle. In other words, that they could be in a flux. I can't think of the word, but in energy flux. So sometimes their form, in other words, matter. Sometimes their energy, that they're not matter. They kind of phase in and out, basically. But furthermore, when they studied it, they observed that when nobody was observing, electrons had an affinity to remain more in wave, more in energy. And when people watched and observed it, that's when they came into form. And the interesting thing is that we are electromagnetic. Our nervous systems are electrical, our minds are electrical, and obviously atoms and electrons are electrical also. So that opened up a whole new world, something that the mystics have been telling us for a very long time, that, wow, we actually can change physical reality, that our minds, which are basically our thoughts and our intentions, can influence not only our emotions, because the mind affects the emotions. So when we have a thought, it creates a physiological reaction in the body, an energetic reaction, and that energetic reaction creates hormonal reactions, and that's the battery of change. So it's that energy emotion, that emotion that changes our vibration so much. It changes the atoms, the molecular structure of things, and changes our reality. So that opened up a really interesting and fascinating new world. And then Dr. Emoto, with the water experiments, observed if you give the water and think and feel positive thoughts, the molecules arrange in a very orderly fashion. And when it's negative, it's more chaotic. Now, how do molecules form? They form through electron placement and displacement. So in other words, these experiments demonstrated that our emotions and thoughts affect the way water configurates due to the electromagnetic circuitry of the molecules. So in any event, it's really interesting to me how science, because I came into spirituality as a scientist. So we have the capacity to create what we want. We have the capacity to heal from things that are thought to be unhealable. And the thing is that we're programmed to really be in the body, be in the physical environment. And in order to change the physical environment, you have to do work in the physical environment or change what you do in the physical, and then slowly that'll change. But the quantum model of the universe says, no, what you can do is you can go back to soul, spirit, source, or the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, change your vibration and create from that field that created everything. So keep in mind that spirit, the realm of spirit, is the realm where all possibilities and all time already exist. And what you experience is predicated upon what you place your attention on. Energy flows where attention goes. So if you start to place your attention on, instead of being hyper vigilant in your emotions and body and your survival instincts, because we're in a survival emotion, we're very hyper vigilant on our bodies and our environment. It takes warriorship skills for our ancient ancestors to be able to be in a survival situation, yet maintain that presence of mind, that ability to step out of those emotions and expand into the realm of spirit, where you can overcome all adversities. But because of the programming, basically we become very hyper vigilant in the body, in our physical environment, and that cuts us off from spirit, that cuts us off from source, that cuts us off from our natural healing ability. And over time we experience illness, psychological, mental, physical, whatever. And so the idea is to learn how to start to reconnect with source. And we do that through presence. So when you become present, then you start to expand. You're no longer hyper vigilant in the body. You start to tune into your breath, and you start to become aware of everything but thinking of nothing. And then the idea here is to lose your self-identity. I first learned this in a book called Journey to Ixtlan by Carlos Castaneda. It was explained very, very well. And then later on, of course, I've heard this a lot. And again, Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this. And his vernacular on that is, if you want to connect with the quantum field, you have to become a nobody. You can't be a somebody. You have to be a nobody. So in other words, when I become present, I'm not Adam. I'm not a medium. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm energy. I'm source. I'm soul. I'm spirit. And when I connect with that, not intellectually, but when that becomes my reality, that's when I connect to the quantum, where I pass through that proverbial eye of the needle to enter into that realm of all possibilities where all time already exists. And from there, you can start to change your health. You can start to change your vibration. You can start to change your life. I wrote a few notes here, so I want to make sure and just a couple of things that I wrote. Learn how to use energy or the flow to heal. So one of the things, when you start to become present and you start to reconnect to source, you start to feel energy and vibration. You can feel it physically in your body. You can feel it around you. And when you become present and you practice and you meditate and learn how to do that, then you can start to, with your mind, with your attention, you can start to move that energy. And it's not an effort thing. It's just using your mind and using your thought and using your breath. So that's one thing. And I need water. As I see, we're already working on 20 minutes here. So that's one thing. And the other thing that we can start to do to get out of that programming, that limiting belief that we can't heal ourselves. It's subconscious. We're 95% subconscious. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are subconscious. They're repetitive, and a lot of them are born out of suppressed traumas and the negating programming that we receive as a child. Repetition, it becomes a subconscious program that you need something outside of yourself to stay healthy, that you need to do this in order to achieve that result, and so forth and so on. So the way to change that is through presence and guided self-observation. And what I mean by that is our emotions are really, really powerful, and they're programmed into us. So the programming makes us respond to our environment in predictable ways in every conceivable situation in life. We're already wired to react to our environment in a very predictable way. Now, if our minds and our emotions can change electrons and change physical reality, that would say that whatever our reactions are to environment are of the past. So our past becomes the present. So our past traumas become our present reality. And the mind is a record of the past, but it's also a creator of the future, because again, through thought, we create electrical currents that affect our emotions, affect our body, affect how we feel, and affect what we create. So the predictable past becomes the predictable future, in other words. So the way to break that downward spiral or that endless cycle is, first practice presence and meditation every day. Practice becoming a nobody, starting to vibrate with spirit, starting to vibrate with the quantum field. In mediumship training, we call that sitting in the power. So when you connect with that field, you start to have the ability to connect with other intelligences that are not physical. So you start to break down the illusion of the physical, and you start to connect with the reality of the energetic. And there's different levels of reality. There's different vibrational frequencies, different planes or different dimensions. And each one has intelligent life in it, intelligence in it. The universe is intelligent. So they found that the quantum field is an intelligent, I don't know if orderly is the right word, but an intelligent field that, again, all time, all space, and all possibilities already exist. So presence, and then learn how to, through self-guided observation, be the observer of your reactions. And when you find yourself in a negative, diminishing reaction, step back, breathe, and become present again. And over time, that's how you start to break down the programming. And then you can work with things like affirmations, like I am strong and healthy, my body is perfect, I'm able to heal from all diseases. And that's the truth. So you have to break down the illusion first. And that's the way to do it. And we know that emotions, because they are of the body, they're of chemistry. We're basically pharmaceutical labs with God knows how many, 70 or 80 different hormones. What is it, 3 trillion? I think it's more than 3 trillion cells. Um, but but we can start to break down the illusion. So it's not easy, in other words, because when you feel a strong emotion, it's very overpowering and overwhelming. It takes spiritual discipline. Healing and creating your reality consciously is a spiritual discipline. And what you want to do is be the observer. When you catch yourself in a predictable negative emotion or negative response to your environment, step back and breathe and observe that happening. And when you do that, then you step out of the program for that second. When you do that every day, that starts to become a habit. If you do that every week and every month, that habit starts to become a new program. And then that's when the changes happen. That's when you start to heal. That's when you start to get healthy. So that is basically what I wanted to say. And this is self-healing month. Sometime I'll probably do another live. We released a video yesterday about healing yourself. It's the thumbnail that says cured. So by all means, check that out. And I'm doing a class on Zoom on self-healing, a 2-part 4-hour class. We're going to take you through a lot of exercise. I'm going to train you to be healthy, just as I'm training myself to be healthy. And a lot of you know my story. They're on other videos. I'm not going to share it now, but the long and the short of it is that according to medical science, I should be dead and I should still be suffering from an incurable disease. I'm not special. I am part of quantum. I'm just like you. What I can do, you can do. So So that's what the class is. Um, if anybody, actually, I think I can type here. If you want more information on that, email us. That's the easiest way to do it. Um, okay, I think that's right. Info at atombetweentheworlds.com. So I have that. And then we had the membership program, the Spirit Mind Family, and it's a paid membership program. So we get more in depth in the topics I cover here on the channel, and it's a twofold thing. It's a way of helping to support this channel because it takes a lot of time and money and resources. But I just wanted to mention, for $5 a month, you'll get a live video that I can cover things that I won't cover on YouTube. Some things that I have to say and teach could get me flagged on YouTube. I'll put it that way. So we go more in depth. So for the $5 level, you get a live video, a Q&A, a meditation, which I'm going to do a meditation that'll teach you how to vibrate in the quantum, or how to enter and vibrate in that field of all possibilities. So you can start to create your reality from that place that created all reality, rather than trying to create matter from matter, which you can do. It just takes a lot more hard work, and it's a lot slower that way. And also there's other perks too, but that is and I'll write that one down also if you want to get more information on that. I think if I wanted to do this as a link for you, do it this way. um, it's called Spirit Mind Family. Yeah, a few of you are on this already, and I thank you for that. All right, so that's what I have. It's almost 11:30, so I lied. I apologize. You went a little bit over, but in any event, thank you for you guys for coming in live, and for everybody that's coming in as a video later on. Welcome and thank you. Thank you for the support. And I hope this information is helpful. The bottom line is that we have the ability to heal from things that science is only beginning to understand. People have spontaneous remissions from cancer, and tumors disappear. People get out of wheelchairs. People heal their bipolar disorder, even schizophrenia. And just to leave you with the parting thought, they've studied people with multiple personality disorder, right? And there's a couple of cases where one of the personalities, the person had breast cancer, I think, but another personality they didn't. So when the personality with cancer was active, they would physically be able to detect a tumor. When the other personality was present, there was no tumor. That is the power of the mind. That's the power of the quantum. That's what we can tap into. And no, we don't have to have a psychosis to do it. We can connect with spirit. We can connect with who we are, source. But that is the power that we have as humans. You are the placebo. That's a book by Joe Dispenza. I think that's the name of it. You are the placebo. It's here. This is what makes us ill, or this is what makes us healthy. And then what we put into our body supports that, or supports it in the wrong way. So anyway, thank you again, and we shall see you at the next time.